So it's going to be fall cleanup day. I've already dumped most of my pots and containers. I was leaving this one to let the beans do what they could, but I don't really see much fresh ones on there. Actually, I'm eating one just now that I found. So I'm going to be pulling all of the pots out first, and I'm just going to set them along here. And then what we're going to put there are the canna stalks. So the cannas, they've keeled over in most of the pots so far, and it's been fairly dry, so it'll be a lot easier to get them out and removed. So I think I'm going to do that, even though we haven't been hit with a frost. It is what it is. I got to get on with my life. I got stuff coming up. I got my sewing retreat coming soon. I got to plan for that. I got to work on my terrarium. Lots of sewing for the season coming up, the holidays. So it's time for me to tuck in the garden. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see over the neighbors. I don't know what happened, but the cannas that were in her pot are just like, they've conked out. So I'm going to go in and I'll be pulling everything out of those pots today as well. I think I'll leave the stalks that are actually still standing and look really good. They're going to stay there. And I don't know if I'll bother digging those out at all. I don't know. They're so hard to dig and they're in the mud there. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just wait and let those wait till they get hit with the frost, because everything else is like, I got lots of cannas. I could sacrifice a few this year. And the tomatillos are still looking all right, so I'll probably leave those. I don't really clean up the beds too much in the fall. I kind of let them do their thing and do my big cleanup in the spring, but I do dump most of my pots. Although those ones I'm just going to leave. I'm not worried about those. When we trim the tree, I put a lot of branches here, so I also have the branches here, and then the stalks from the cannas are all going to go into this container. Okay, so I'll show you the before and after. I'm not going to take you along on the journey and bore you with all those details, because it's just, you know, I got to get this done. All right. We'll see you back in a bit when it's going to look totally different. Oh, and this is all my tomato stuff here, so we'll see what goes in there. And even if I pile it up really high, it's going to break down over the winter, and that's going to help me afford to fill the big raised bed. So that's it for all the cannas I'm going to do right now. It looks like a canna casket. Rest in peace, cannas. So I have this bin full of bulbs. I mean, look at that. That's a beauty. They're so pretty and shiny. And then this bucket here is also full. And then I'll still have some of those ones that are still in the ground in the dip over there. Those will probably be a really big clump as well. And I'm just going to let them dry out. So I'm going to let them dry out today in the sunshine here. And then if rain's in the forecast, I'm just going to pop them into the greenhouse till they get nice and dry. There's still a lot of wet dirt on them. And I want them as dry as I can before I put them away for winter. All right, so next I'm going to grab, kind of dump some of this in. I have the tomato stuff here too, and those branches that I showed you. And we're going to just pile this thing high and deep. All right, so that's all the branches, and you can see they're up quite a bit. So I'm going to try and stomp them down, and then I'm going to come in and try to get all of these buckets of dirt. And I'm just going to leave the 5-gallon buckets this year, but I'm going to get all the tomato debris off and in there as well, hopefully. So I guess this is hugelkultur. The biggest drawback for that is usually the way it breaks down like so much. So hopefully by doing it now, come spring, a lot of it will have already, sunken down. I can add more to it. And the other thing is drainage. So we'll have to see how it does. Some people say it's too much drainage. Some people say it's not enough, depending on, I think it's usually too much, like it dries out too fast. But we've had such wet summers that I don't know if that's not probably going to be a big problem for me. So, yeah. Okay, enough talking. Let's go back to work. Ta-da! Oh, it looks so good. The soil looks so nice and rich. I transplanted back in a few of the kale and, is that my collards? I can't even remember what I had going on in there. The curry, it's still doing all right. And some parsley. It's like, you know what? If it's still alive, we're just going to stick it back in here and let it do what it's going to do. So this tide, I'm back up. I think that's it for me for the cleanup this year. I'm leaving a lot more pots and containers than normal. So here are all the buckets that were in there. I think there's about 10 of them, 9 or 10. So in that is all of the cannas, all of those brushes and branches, all of the tomato vines that were here. And yes, I did get in there and jump on them and crush them down. And then all of the soil that was in these buckets. So that just shows you, like, these raised beds are amazing, but they take so much to fill them. It could cost me $100, a couple $100 to do that. So I'm really glad that I did this method. I won't be surprised in spring if it's like down halfway, but at least that's going to save me quite a bit of soil, even if it is down quite a bit. Come back in with some more fresh fill and compost and everything. And I'm leaving them this year. Every year I dump the 5-gallon grow bags, and it's a pain to dump them because they're kind of floppy, and then they're a pain to store because they're kind of big and bulky, and they're out in the elements anyway, so I don't think it's going to make any difference. And I have several that I've left in the ground for years now, and they do fine. Like this one that I have the ring in, that one's been there for about 3 or 4 years. Look at it. It looks brand new. Like, you would never know that wasn't like this summer. This one's new from this year. This one's been there for about 3 or 4 years. So, and I left the ones over at the neighbors. They've been there for a few years, so we're just going to leave them. There's another one here. Those are getting left. I think the only other container I might dump is going to be this one, but I'm still waiting for my seed pods to brown up on my black-eyed Susans. I have a couple in there left that I want to wait on. And then that one, I don't know, those planters, I mean, they were rough when I got them. And the problem with them, like, freezing, they have a lot of drainage. The problem with them freezing and cracking is if they can't expand upward. But the shape of them, you can see, if they were straight, they have more of a risk of cracking. Or if they curve back in at the top, like some of the kind of the fancier plots might curve in. When they have this shape, they have room to expand, and then it can just go up. So I'm not so worried about it. And I'm waiting on that canna because I want to get the seeds off of this one. Because this was really pretty, and the seeds they're getting ready in there. So hopefully they'll have time to develop. This one's almost ready, so hopefully they'll have time. So yeah, I'm getting another flush, as you can see here on my, oh my goodness, evening primrose. That's self-seeded. I did dump the 2 big containers. I just flipped them upside down. But the 4 o'clocks are still going. My lilac's blooming still. The malvas have been amazing this year. I'm definitely going to go in with more malvas this year. They're so easy to grow. So easy to grow from seed. Absolutely beautiful little plants. So I think I'm going to have a whole hedge of them right in front of the feverfew. Hopefully the feverfew comes back. So right in front of the feverfew, I'm going to have it start there and probably go all the way down. I'm just going to have a ton of these because they're just beautiful and they're fun to use in bouquets and stuff as well. And I saved quite a few seeds off of them. So this is what the seed pods look like. This is when they're green, so you want to leave that alone. You want to wait till they go brown like this. And then they're all dried out, and then you're just going to... Should not be doing this with my left hand. You're going to go like that, and then there you go. There's your little seeds. Okay, so you're going to save those. I'm going to just sprinkle them in there. See if they self-seed. I don't know. Oh, a couple other things I did want to do in the fall. I kept saying I'm going to do it in the fall. And that it was going to be to move my lupin. But I'm not sure where it is. I don't want anything along this edge because I really want that border again. This side was kind of half-assed with the alyssum border. You can see it did really good up there. Not so great. This side was awful. We got nothing. These 4 o'clocks, I can't believe they're still going. They're still going strong. Actually, the best job that we had were these. This got trampled when I knocked those down. But this side actually had a pretty good border with the alyssum this year. So those are the ones I transplanted from the winter sowing containers. So next year I have to be much more intentional, as Miss Catherine would say, with growing them. But like it's November 2nd, and there's still stuff happening in the garden, which is kind of crazy. We have not had an actual frost. The last 2 years we have not had a frost till November 7th, but my average last frost date is October 15th officially. I guess I could take some of these stalks down. So the sunflower stalks are very, very strong. I'd have to use my pruners for those. I mean the bigger clippers. And you can use these as supports and like trellising later. You let them dry out over this winter, and then you can use them in the spring for trellising. And I have to say my Tamarillos did amazing. I'm not sure if I like them though. They're kind of weird. But yeah, they did pretty good this year. So anyways, the train's coming, and I'm going to wrap it up with today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, funny thing happened. I was dumping these containers into there, and I found this. Are you kidding me? I had no evidence that any of the cucamelon vines that I'd planted survived. I never saw a single vine. I never saw a single cucamelon. And lo and behold, this little guy rolled out when I dumped the container. How funny.